with an opportunity in his first National Football League try, in his third game with the Minnesota Vikings, to walk off a winner at Soldier Field. Jake McQuaid, the long snapper, Ryan Wright holds. This is a 29-yard field goal between the hash marks to win it. Snap spot. Romo! Yes! And the Minnesota Vikings have won 5 consecutive games at Soldier Field. The final score, 30-27.
The Analyst.
It's Pete Bercich, Sue Cup, and SueCup.com. Thank you very much for sponsorship of The Analyst weekly 9 to noon, and here he is. Mr. Pete Bercich, what's the prevailing Monday emotion after yesterday? Made it harder than they should have, and it bugs you, or it's 9-2, and it doesn't matter how one gets there, they got there. And good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm not as bothered by it as I normally. I don't know. I'm just not as bothered by it as maybe I've been in the past after games. But I think a lot of that has to do with just our offense and how our quarterback looked. I think he was solid throughout the entire game, because as we've seen before, we've had stretches where first half of a game where it's just up and down the field, and then all of a sudden that dries up. But to see them in overtime, get the drive when you need it, like Coach O'Connell would say, be at your best when it's needed, and be able to get down the field, and to see, Justin Jefferson making a couple plays, but to see TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison, especially Jordan Addison, have such a great day. Jalen Naylor could have had a really nice day had he come up with that one third down reception. To see the other cast of characters, so to speak, Aaron Jones. I wish he could have held on to the ball in the first drive, but the whole group playing well and doing some decent things. And so, overall, I'm not worried about the defense or anything. I think Caleb Williams is he's that remarkable of an athlete. He's unique in that regard. He's starting to really look the part of a first overall draft pick. I think we saw that athleticism on the field yesterday. So, yeah, I'm not as worried about it. Feel good about it. Now we get the strange team, the Arizona Cardinals, team you don't see much, don't know much about. Just came off a tough loss out in Seattle, so it'll be at least their second road game in a row.
So if I had told you
The Analyst
into the game, the quarterback would have his first 300-yard game with the team and no picks. Jones would run for more than 100 and a touchdown. Addison would have 162 and 1. Hawkinson would go for 114. Grenard and Van Ginkel would combine for 3 sacks. And the kicker would go 6 for 6 on all of the kicks. Would you have thought they would have destroyed the Bears?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. At least put up, that would be, you were thinking 30 plus points at least, right? And then obviously the Bears offense looked better than we, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, that group, that's a nice group. They're getting better. And they didn't run the ball very well. I mean, honest, they had a couple nice runs, but they just didn't. I don't think they stuck with it. I think Caleb Williams ended up being the leading rusher for the Bears yesterday. So, I knew with those numbers, you'd put up some gaudy points. And to do that on the road, outside, on grass, and in Chicago, that's a pretty big deal, because that's not the easiest place to play. I mean, oh my gosh, we've been there every year since we've been doing this, and there's some weird things that happen there. So it's not the easiest place in the world to play. And again, that's why I'm feeling good as the offense. The offense hit their stride a little bit yesterday, and hopefully we can keep building on that. And hopefully everybody's going to be healthy, and Cam Robinson will be back soon, and yada, yada, yada. But that's week 13 or week 12 in the NFL. You know what I mean?
The Analyst.
Did you see the potential stardom in quarterback Caleb Williams?
No, not maybe flashes of it, but not as consistently as it was yesterday. He pulled some things out of his, that especially the play with the Van Ginkel when he was unblocked. And we had, I can't remember who brought up the stat, but he's had the most unblocked sacks, or we've had the most unblocked sacks in the league. And
Joniak.
here he comes. Yeah. That's right. Jeff said that. Here he comes off the edge unblocked, and woof, he's a good athlete. And he whiffed on the sack, and Caleb was able to run around outside and then hit DeAndre Swift, going down the sideline. I mean, that was after that brilliant throw that he made to Cole Kmet. So he strung together more than we had seen all year. Watching him on film, he looked like a guy that had been sacked over 40 times going into this game, or you'd see the rush. He would scramble early. He would just pull it down and run. But I think that was a big step that we saw him take yesterday against the Vikings, and his decisions, his quick decisions, his good throws. I mean, some of those quick throws that he made, getting them right off the finger. We had, figure our DBs, we had possibly 3 interceptions, right? Cam Bynum had one, Harrison Smith had one, and there was one more. I can't remember exactly whose hands it bounced off of, but we could have had 3 interceptions yesterday, and that's that razor's edge, I guess, a quarterback operates on, where you're trying to get the ball in there, but you're trying not to be careless. And but by far, that was the best that Caleb Williams has looked all year.
Darnold did really well not forcing it to Jefferson. That there was one into double-ish coverage early that nearly was picked off by Kyler Gordon. Will anybody ever change coverages on Justin Jefferson, or is this just how it's going to be?
Well, I think that's they're making the adjustments because right now they're trying to shut down JJ. But as a defense, you want to say, all right, we're going to do whatever we can to shut down JJ, and if they beat us with TJ Hockenson or Jordan Addison or Aaron Jones, then let them win. Well, after yesterday, between Jordan Addison and Hockenson alone, they had almost 300 yards of receiving. So that plan maybe doesn't look as good. And then you start saying, well, we got to start paying attention to the tight end. We got to start paying attention to Jordan Addison. We got to start paying attention to the running game. And then the minute they don't double JJ, or the minute that they don't pay that kind of attention and roll coverage his way, then you make him pay. And then so I think JJ's. He's got to be frustrated. Of course, he's frustrated because he's a competitor and wants the ball and the whole thing. But I think that having Jordan do what he did and TJ do what he did is the best thing for him, because defenses can no longer just say our game plan's taking away Justin Jefferson, and we can possibly win if they beat us. If you beat us with TJ and Jordan, you deserve to win. Well, it's a reality now. Those guys are good enough. So there's other decisions that have to be made. I mean, we saw this with Randy Moss. I mean, it's the exact same thing. And I remember back in the day, the offensive coaches, or Scott Linehan would say it's worthless to scout coverages because we see something completely different because of Randy. Right, so you have to kind of feel out what they're doing and all those things. Well, it's kind of the same thing here with Justin. Is teams are doing different things, and we have to feel them out. But the lengths that they can go, let's say, to stop JJ, is going to be severely limited because of what TJ and Jordan can do, and that bodes well, I think, for Justin Jefferson. And some team's going to do it. They're going to kind of go, well, maybe we can just get away with this, and this, and then JJ's going to come out and put up 180. It's going to happen. You watch.
Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network. Time for 2 more. How much of an impact will it be if they've lost Ivan Pace Jr. for at least the next game?
I think losing Ivans, it'll be a big loss. I don't know if it'll be as noticeable as it was when we lost Cashman, because of all the things that Cashman can do. But Ivan Pace, I think in the run, he's very, very solid. There were a couple runs I think that got more. If Ivan was in there, I think would have been a little bit more limited. But his ability to blitz and his ability to beat running backs one-on-one in the pass rush is huge. I think with Grugier Hill in there, you pick up a little bit from the coverage side. I think he's better in the zones and doing some coverage things. So he has some abilities. I think that Ivan Pace is that's not his forte. So I guess my point is it's a loss, no question about it. But I don't know if it's going to be overall as big of a loss as it was for Blake Cashman when we lost him. So, a week or two without Ivan, we did it before. I think he was out a couple games, I think early in the season, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think we can get by without Ivan. Of course, we want him on the field, but, he's not as big of a loss as someone like Cashman or a Metellus or, these other guys that play in all these different positions.
Well, what about Cam Robinson? I mean, Quessenberry played a lot of the game yesterday. Hopefully everything's good with Cam, but they are on their third left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, that's the NFL, right? And you just gotta. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, Quessenberry. I think he gave up a sack on a play. He didn't get beat quickly. It was a little bit later. Getting Oliver back and having Oliver and Hawkinson will help. They can game plan, right? That's the thing is if you know someone's going to be out, you can game plan and do some things to help. The good thing with Cam is that he wasn't carted off the field. He didn't go back into the locker room, right? He was walking around and he was on the sidelines. So usually if something happens to a guy and he's able to, not leave the field, things are going to be a little bit, be less. But you never know. You got to go through all the tests and everything. I have no idea what even happened to him.
Right.
If it's his foot, if it's his ankle or whatever. Unless something pops up on an MRI or an X-ray or something, I would expect him to be back pretty quickly. Although with the big guys, foot and ankle things are tough because they, when you're 300 and some odd pounds, you put a lot of strain on the calf muscles and the ankles and the feet.
An early happy Thanksgiving to you and your covenant.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
And look forward to seeing you this weekend. Thank you,
all right,
Pete.
Sounds good. Let's go. Beat the Cardinals.
Indeed. Kevin O'Connell has a press conference later today where information undoubtedly will be shared regarding Ivan Pace Jr., their leading tackler into the game yesterday, and Cam Robinson, the left tackle who replaced Christian Darrisaw. When 9 to noon continues, we will play back a drive-by interview I had yesterday with Aaron Jones after the victory at Soldier Field, followed by the border battle, followed by News du Nord. It's 10:16, and you're listening to 9 to noon. Aaron Jones, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, now has 2 games with at least 100 rushing yards, and he also scored a touchdown yesterday. Went traipsing around the locker room and found number 33 and noticed this sweet sombrero he was wearing, and I'm like, where'd you get that sweet sombrero?
The team gave it to me when I signed. It was a huge surprise, and I just that's how I knew I was in the right place.
Well, last time we chatted, you were thinking about, hey, you're Paul, we're going to get you a touchdown to call. We got a Showtime call today. You had more than 100 yards for the second time this season, the other one being Houston. Now we had that fumble early, and you looked very dejected after that fumble. I mean, just what an up and down day for you today. Holy cow, Aaron.
Definitely, that's not how you want to start the game off, especially when you're in the red zone on the 1 or 2 yard line. You really want to punch it in, and then me not being in the end zone for a while just kind of messed with me a little bit, knowing that we could have had points there. That's the biggest thing, come away with points, take care of the ball. That's my job, and I didn't get my job done on that play. So it just, like you said, dejected me a little bit, but I tried to keep it together. Had my brothers on the sideline lifting me up, which was huge, and they're like, hey, you're going to make a play. And in my mind, when something like that happens, I'm like, just respond and make up for it.
Last one, my man. The media needs you. Games at Soldier Field. Very familiar with it. I could just tell you love playing here. You love playing division games. Your squad's 9-2, man. And there's more than one way to skin the proverbial cat, whether it's defense against the run, you scoring. TJ Hawkinson, man, he had 1 catch for 5 yards at halftime, finishes with 114. Addison with the game. Justin being the ultimate team guy, getting all that coverage. I mean, what a wonderful team. What do you like about it?
We got weapons all across the board. It's going to be hard. I feel like you can't just pick one guy and we're going to stop this guy because you got another guy here, you got another guy there, you got another guy here. So it's like pick your poison at that point. And these guys, they opened up for me as well. We feed off of each other. It's a great group of guys, unselfish. I think that's my favorite part, just how unselfish everybody is.
Just like you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Aaron Jones with a little drive-by following an overtime victory. It was only the third division game this year for the Minnesota Vikings. The Green Bay Packers didn't play a division game yesterday. They played a conference game against the suddenly woebegone San Francisco 49ers.
Love looks it over, and here it is. Handoff, Jacobs, burrowing left side, end zone, touchdown, and there is your dagger.
Wayne Larrivee on the call, and joining us now is David Sinykin for
Border Battle
at TC Head Cheese via Twitter, and you can also read some of his accounts about the Green Bay Packers at zonecoverage.com. Congratulations on the victory yesterday. It seemed to be of the facile nature from wire to wire. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair, and I appreciate you playing the dagger for me. I hadn't heard that, so yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, they're missing the three most important players, so obviously it changes everything. But you want to put your foot on their throats from the beginning, and Green Bay did that, jumping up 17-0 and took charge from there. So, yeah, they did what they had to do. Not to crow about the win, but whenever you blast the team that has kind of owned you in the playoffs the last 5 or 6 years, obviously feels really good.
And for San Francisco, I mean, strange as it is, as middling as the NFC West is coming up, San Francisco can still rattle off a bunch of victories while getting healthy and find a way into the postseason. So even from 5-6, San Francisco could be okay moving forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, they got to go to Buffalo this week, so they're looking at 5-7, and we'll see. The locker room sounds like it's pretty fragile right now. Fred Warner was pretty direct after the game. Not having Trent Williams obviously makes a huge difference. But yeah, it's a division that won't be decided till late in the season, so that's their one shot to maybe scratch something out.
David, how did the quarterback play? How did Jordan Love play?
He was fine. Didn't throw a pick for the first time this season, although there were a couple that could have been picked. Christian Watson dropped what would have been a 55-yard touchdown, which would have made Love's numbers look better. But, he wasn't as spectacular as he was the week before. But this was a day all about Josh Jacobs, who broke 10 tackles in the first quarter, broke 15 tackles for the game, which was the most by any running back this season, and ended a 70-yard record that the Niners had not allowing a running back in the regular season to rush for 100 yards. Aaron Jones did it in the playoffs, but they hadn't given one up in 55 games. So it was a Josh Jacobs day, 25 carries through 3 quarters, heavy workload. I heard you talking to Aaron Jones. He's one of my all-time favorite Packers.
Yeah.
They're both so good in such different ways. Aaron being slippery and elusive and that acceleration. Jacobs just bounces off people and fights so hard for yards. And, playing in Green Bay and weather the rest of the year, I think it makes this offense really dangerous knowing they got a guy in Jacobs who will fight for every inch and is really hard to bring down. It's going to be fun to watch him now in November, December, and January.
Border Battle.
Whether it's you or Saturday right before I left for Chicago with my neighbor, Cotton John, who loves the Green Bay Packers, every bit as much as Super Special Siny.
Border Battle.
7 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass defensed. Perhaps the demise of Quay Walker has been greatly exaggerated, you two.
Yeah, I ripped him pretty heavily on my show yesterday. It's been an ugly stretch the last few weeks, and we've got some young linebackers. I think a lot of fans want to see them get their chance. I mean, Green Bay has to make a decision on a fifth-year option for Walker. That was his best game of the season, no question. He looked entirely different. He's really good as a blitzer, a guy that just can attack the quarterback. He still has problems in tackling in the run game, but he was very good from wire to wire yesterday. It's a really good sign, with Tua and Jared Goff the next couple of weeks. That defense is going to be tested a lot more than it was against the backups yesterday, at least the backup quarterback and tackle. But, yeah, a really good sign to see number 7 have a big day.
What goes into Christian McCaffrey's 11-31, no touchdowns, 2.8 on the yards per carry? They run for 44. I did not see the game. So box score chasing, is this a situation where, A, we know with that quarterback, Brandon Allen, you ain't interested in getting up and down the field too much, at least initially, and B, we've jumped you by 2 scores, and that's going to minimize the run?
Yeah, it's absolutely both of those. You jump up 17-0, and that changed the game plan. He had let's say maybe one or two nice runs that got called back by penalty. He did get the ball punched out by Keyshawn Nixon in a really key spot when they were down 10 and trying to make a run. I don't know if he doesn't trust the guys up front. That line is not playing particularly well right now. But, yeah, backup quarterback. Packers don't really respect the passing game a whole lot. So McCaffrey was the focus. They brought Jordan Mason in for a play or two, and he had some pop. I was really glad they didn't keep him in there because he seemed to have more juice than McCaffrey. But, Green Bay's defense much maligned, and for some ways it's justified. But the Jaguars are like the only team in the last 8 weeks that have scored double-digit points in the second half on this defense. They are tightening up in the second half of games, and I think that's an encouraging sign. It hadn't had any takeaways the last 2 weeks, got 3 yesterday. It's all about the Green Bay. The offense is fine. It's all about Green Bay's defense. Didn't learn a lot about them, except they did what they were supposed to do. Again, Dolphins, Lions, Sea Chickens. All right, let's see what the next few weeks look like.
Yeah, my hippie brother, that's the final point. I mean, it's of the gauntlet-like variety coming up here. Short week, you're at home, and you get a Florida team to play in what could be cold weather. But Dolphins at home, Thanksgiving night, 7:20, at the Motor City Kitties, and they still look unbeatable. And then at the Super Chickens for another primetime game. Holy cow. 4 consecutive primetime games coming up, including the Saints at Lambeau Field. What do you think of what's on the horizon?
Yeah, I think I would assume they might look at flexing out of that Packers-Saints game. I know Monday Night Football can flex this year. I don't know if that window is passed, but I'm assuming that might be in play. But, yeah, it's crazy to have 4 straight night games. I think I am concerned about Thanksgiving night. I've been to Lambeau when they've lost a Thanksgiving night game. Tua was very frontal yesterday about looking to kill narratives about not playing well in cold weather. It's going to be cold. It's going to be upper 20s, high of freezing on Thursday. So he can change some narratives with the win. I just think Green Bay is likely without Jair again, without Edgerrin Cooper, without Romeo Dobbs. So some key guys are going to miss this one Thursday. They can't look, I know it's Thanksgiving and the nation's eyes are on you, but with the Lions looming the following Thursday, they can't look past this Dolphins team. They can run with Achane down this team's throat. So I'm a little worried about Thursday night. I think the Dolphins are going to commit a more desperate team ready to show that they're not a team that wilts in the cold every single time.
Well, what happened to Dobbs? He was 3 for 54 yesterday.
Came down hard in the end zone, hit his head, had a concussion, and so was out for the game. And obviously with a Thursday game now, I can't imagine he'll be ready to play this week. Just hope he's okay and able to play against Detroit the following Thursday.
Hey, man, bless you and your covenant. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll chat next week, okay?
Right back at you, PA. Have a good week.
See you, bud. David Sinykin at TC Head Cheese via Twitter.
Border Battle.
It's 10:31, and here they are.
News to Nord, brought to you by the Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. Feeling the felt with poker, blackjack, and table games all year round. NFL Pick'em on Thursday, chance to win hundreds of dollars for free, by the way. It's free to play. You can do that on Thursdays. Just pick the winners of the NFL weekend, and you potentially cash in hundreds. So check it out, CanterburyPark.com. Big one against the Winnipeg Jets for the Minnesota Wild this evening. Coming home after, a dramatic one. Sadly, a losing effort in Calgary.
38-6 left. Foligno tries to dig it free. Flames are there to knock it loose. Sweeping it down low. Rossi is shot. He scores! Marco Rossi alone in front. Ties the game with 34 seconds to go.
Wow. How good is that?
Yeah, it was crazy. First game, you saw, I assume, PA, Kaprizov went knee to knee.
Yep.
Wasn't able to go. Big news from Russo over the weekend, though, that he's day-to-day, that he avoided any severe injuries.
So that was Calgary because he got nicked up the previous game.
No, he did not play in Calgary.
Oh, he didn't play in that game.
I believe that was Edmonton right before where he went knee to knee.
We were flying to Chicago. I was following it via the Super Special Gamecast. And man, they were down at a point in the third period where I'm like, all right, let's just get back home and pick your poison and dust yourself.
It was 3-1. I forget who. I had it in front of me a moment ago, but somebody got it to 3-2 before Rossi in the clutch.
And then I see, wow, shootout, 5 rounds. Holy cow. The fortitude and the tenacity and the wherewithal to be able to force that thing against a team with a winning record. Calgary's pretty good. To get that thing to a shootout, all right, we got some moral victory terrorism here, but it also was without 97. And now Winnipeg. Wow, Winnipeg here tonight. What a great sports way to start Thanksgiving week. That one will be on KFAN. Parker Fox's team plays on AM 1130 KTLK.
To the Minnesota Timberwolves at Boston yesterday. It was close, a flurry to the finish.
We're set to go. 7.1 seconds left. Boston by 2, 107-105. Ant with it up top, working to his left-hand side. Turns the corner, drives it, kicks out to McDaniels. Up top, Nas. 3 ball came after the buzzer. It sounded. It rimmed off anyway. I don't think he got it off in time. It was a perfect play, but it took longer than 7.1 seconds.
Well, you heard it there. Alan Horton on the call. The Wolves lose 107-105. This one, they were game for it, and it was close. They actually, there were a couple of ebb and flow runs in this one, and I was following it while also trying to do fan lines. So I'm not gonna pretend that I spent the entire night just drilling into this game, but man, they had a shot, and they played so much better than they did against Toronto on Thursday. Yeah. But they couldn't get it done, and Boston takes the lead, takes the win, and the Wolves are now 8-8. And they're coming home, but it's not getting easier, man. Like, Houston's no bargain. You're going to have the Kings. The Clippers are off to a fun start with Harden. They're making things work out on the West. I mean, this West is muddy. It's not easy, and the Wolves are putting themselves in a tough spot early in the season here.
They play Boston exceedingly well, and no matter the circumstances. It was a couple of years ago, they were ending a long road trip. They were on a back-to-back in Orlando, and they flew into Boston and got there late, then played the next game and went and lost in overtime. The Boston Celtics are the best overall team in the NBA. They went to the wire with Boston. They lost, and I still really have no complete confirmation on it outside of what what the coach shares 9 to noon when I bring it up pretty much every time, but it still feels like a push button bit to me. Like they feel that when the postseason rolls around, that we all of a sudden are one of these, don't let us in, better not let us in. Maybe that's the case. But I didn't see the game yesterday. I saw Dillingham played some rather significant minutes with Mike Conley down. So I'm not sure how he played, but we'll play Covenant catch up on it the next couple of days. Hopefully the rookie showed out well.
Well, and one thing, too, I'm interested if this is going to be the bit. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was always kind of seen, or not always, but into the season. If Conley's unable to go, then it's going to be Nickeil Alexander-Walker in the bid. And it looks like the coach, and I had seen him do some ball handling in New York, but Dante DiVincenzo being the first option, keeping Alexander-Walker on the bench. It's just kind of interesting how they're navigating that. With Conley, who is proving to be a problem for this roster, as good as he's been, nobody aged more over the course of the summer, it feels like, than Conley.
Ain't no doubt.
And so hopefully we get some more out of him. But Houston tomorrow at Target Center. Let's get that W. While Amen Thompson, let's just give him a 15 and 12 game, please. That's fantasy related. But to the NFL, remember that 2013 Baltimore game, PA, in the snow? 40-some points in the fourth quarter. It was just nuts, right down to the wire. Well, it was 20-17 in the fourth quarter after Zach Ertz scored a touchdown for Washington. They get the 2-point conversion. It's 20-17 Dallas. Then things got really weird.
Fields the kick, deep dances and running it out. Left to the 30, to the 40, to midfield. Turpin's got the Jets going. 10-5. Touchdown by the league's leading kickoff returner, and everybody's hanky is in its pocket.
I don't know if you saw the highlight of the spin move Cavante Turpin put on whoever the defender was in special teams. He goes for the kick returns. Now it's 27-17.
Yeah.
Washington gets a field goal. They're on the grind. They need an absolute miracle, and they got it.
Dallas just breaks through.
Wow.
He's able to step up. Lobs one over to Terry McLaurin's open. 45-50, 45-40. Turns on the Jets. He's gone! Touchdown!
It was an 86-yard touchdown with 20 seconds left. Terry McLaurin, all you got to do is kick the extra point, and you've come back from 10 down, and you've tied it.
He's already missed an extra point. It's preserved. Snap low. Trustway gets it down. Cyber's kick. Bad. Snap. Bad snap. A bad snap. They got the hold down, and Cyber missed it left.
Wow.
He missed it left. So now they have to try another onside kick.
Which they do, and we thought ours was weird yesterday. How about this one? I haven't seen this in a while.
Seibert booms it to the left. It is covered, and Thomas running it back. Thomas with the Cowboys' second kickoff return for a touchdown in the game. This game is drugged.
So Washington went from, that's good, Saucy. But Washington goes from an 86-yard touchdown, just needing the extra point to tie the game. They missed the extra point.
McLaurin touchdown, right?
McLaurin from 86 with 20 seconds left.
And he ain't that fast.
No.
So he's fast as fast would be compared.
It was perfect blocking down.
Wow.
It was a gorgeous play.
This is phenomenal. I had no idea this thing ended like this.
They missed the extra point. They need the onside kick, and the freaking Cowboys return the onside kick for a TD. It's 34-26. I mean, Dallas' season's over, but that was just the nuttiest game ever. And if we are playing that, sniffing around the NFC game, the Commanders losing that game was massive when you're trying to count up wins and losses and figure out how comfortable you are in a particular seed. As they fall to 7-5, and they're still second in the East right now behind Philly. Yeah. But that was a nasty L that the Cowboys and Zimmer and everybody put on Mr. Quinn and the Commanders.
Well, these division games can be so unpredictable. I mean, go back to last Thursday as an underdog at home. Cleveland beats Pittsburgh in the backyard
nice
brawl.
call by you, by the way.
Thank you. That's these division games. Arizona off a bye, first place. Kyler's never played better. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s double moves are starting to work.
Yeah.
Trey McBride's the most underrated tight end in the NFL. I don't know if they scored a touchdown.
Well, I got a highlight of a touchdown for the Seattle Seahawks defense, if you want to give Kyler credit for that.
Play fake. Murray's going to try to get it. He's going to run far side. He's going to dump it over the top. Intercepted. Kobe Bryant. Far sideline. He's got the blockers. 30, 25, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown. Seahawks.
Damn.
Yeah, Seattle Seahawks broadcasting.
Well, we had some quirky bits yesterday. I mean, in the Vikings game, Asamoah and a 21-yard return on a blocked field goal, and he's switching the ball from right to left arm like a tailback.
How sneaky was he? He was kind of riding. I couldn't tell who it was. He was riding a lineman's back hip.
Yeah.
And just kind of shifting his way through things. He wasn't joking around. Asamoah's got some offensive talent.
What you saw there was somebody who picked up the ball and then in the course of 7.5 seconds thought, I was drafted here. I wanted to play here. I never play. I only play special teams. I'm taking this whole thing out on everybody involved.
Cameron Grugier Hill's first man up.
And I'm getting to the house.
Hell yeah.
That was cool, man. He was so happy when I put that microphone in front of him after the game with the drive-by.
Last thing for you. This is the team to watch, I think, in the NFC.
He gives it to Barkley, who cuts outside. He's at the 40, the 50, the 40. He's going to go again. He's going to go again. Touchdown, Saquon Barkley. His
72.
all-time record, 72 yards.
He had a 70 yesterday as well. And you want to talk about push button where the Wolves can't push the button? The Philadelphia Eagles kind of did that last night where it was, middling around with the Rams and Jalen Hurts. When he finds A.J. Brown, when he finds Devontae Smith and he gets that rhythm, he's unstoppable. But it takes him a while to find it. Meanwhile, it's just like, oh, yeah, we got this cat back here that the Giants basically gave up on. And Saquon Barkley goes for nearly 200 and a couple of TDs. Incredible night for them. It's the Lions. It's the Eagles. And it's the Vikings, PA, maybe among the NFC elite right now.
Top three record-wise. And the Vikings and Eagles have the same record. I wonder who actually is in front of the other. It would come down to a conference record.
Well, if we don't win the division, though, it won't matter. We'd be a wild card.
No, I'm just saying as it lays right now.
Yeah.
But nationally speaking, the Lions look like the best overall team in the NFL. Mahomes melted after the game yesterday, basically like, I'm tired of winning these close games. So let's just see where that goes from there, because they must, they none of them say it, but all of them know what's happening. Game against Carolina in front of me, Lions and everything they're doing out of one side of my eye. And they see what the Lions are doing. But so Lions and Eagles, good offenses, Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the whole thing. We're just back here like, am I?
Yep.
What about me? Am I? And our lot in life is just fine. PJ Fleck coaches the Golden Gophers football team. The regular season finale is Friday on KFAN at Bucky, and we chat with the coach next. Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team for years, has been nice enough to join 9 to noon on Monday. And PJ, good morning. How do you guys, as a collective group, players, coaches, the whole thing, how do you guys handle Thanksgiving, given Thursday, I would imagine, is a travel day, and you got a Friday game at Camp Randall? And good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and all the listeners. And, we do a dinner on Wednesday for our players. Everybody's gone off campus, but our players are here, and, they're spending a lot of time preparing for Wisconsin already. And we practiced this morning, really early this morning, because they had class. And, usually we're practicing Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then we travel on Friday. But we had to practice today on Monday because of the short week, and they got class, so we had to do it really early in the morning. But they'll have a few meals, Thanksgiving meals this week, and then they get a little time once the game's over.
Very entertaining game versus a good Penn State team with a bunch of guys NFL bound for those Nittany Lions. Now, after a tough, you said you practiced today, after a tough loss, now you have to pick them up for the regular season finale, and it's a border rival. The life of a coach, right? I mean, that's just how the circle goes.
Yeah, they're all tough. I mean, when you lose, they're all tough. It doesn't matter if it's 1 point or 41 points.
Right.
It doesn't matter. They're all tough. Our team's been resilient and had great response all year. The locker room reminded me a little bit of Michigan when we were in there. I mean, our guys gave everything they possibly had, and they left it all on the field, which they have every single game. That's why this team has been so fun to coach. We're a really, really, really good 6-5 football team. I mean, we could sit here and be 9-2 right now. We could also sit here and maybe be 4-7 right now. We played 7 one-possession games. We're 3-4. A lot of those could go either way. We're grateful that we have another opportunity. We're grateful for practice today. These guys are so fun to coach. It's really a connected team. It's a grateful team, and that's what you really cherish as a football coach. The wins and losses will be there. They'll come and go, but the connection of those football teams is what you remember. And these guys are really, really fun to coach. But after that game, I mean, there was a lot of devastated young men in that locker room, but they came back today, this morning, and responded really, really well. We had meetings yesterday, and we moved down to Wisconsin, and guys were eager to get back on that field.
Last one on this game. I was flying during your game, so I've seen the play to when you threw to the offensive lineman, but I didn't see things that led up to it, so therefore I don't have context with it. I would imagine you got a look that you had worked on and you liked the situation. It just didn't work.
Well, yeah, we run a trick play earlier and score a touchdown. We had 2 trick plays. And we knew we wanted to call them inside the 8-yard line, 10 to 8-yard line. And one of them worked. One of them didn't work. It's still second down, and Max does a good job throwing it away.
Right.
We had a first down play that we didn't get any yards. We had a second play that we tried, a trick play, didn't work. Third down, we still had an opportunity to score, and we didn't. So we kicked the field goal. Like that's not a bad scenario. And some things work, some things don't.
Right.
We have a lot of plays in that game that work. And we had some things that didn't work. We had some decisions that were great, some decisions that didn't work.
Right.
James Franklin at Penn State had some great decisions. He also had some decisions that didn't work. And if they don't win the game, probably are questioned a lot. Same thing with us. So it's one of those games when it comes down to 1 point, everything in hindsight gets evaluated. But when you're in the moment, you make the best decisions, and I don't regret that call at all.
Senior day, final home game for many, but Cody Lindenberg tied his career high with 14 tackles. Second game in a row, too, I think, for that. What's it been like having him? What's it been like having Cody?
Well, he's just a phenomenal football player, but he's a better person. He's from Anoka, Minnesota. He's represented that city really, really well in the state of Minnesota. He's a really active player. I think he's playing some of his best football right now. He's 6'3", 240-some pounds. It's hard to find. You just kind of think, I never like to make comparisons, but his game is so similar to Blake Cashman's and how fast they play. He's just longer and bigger. And, you can move him around. You can put him on the D-line. You can put him at linebacker. He's really active. He's a really good cover guy. 44 in the game makes a great play. And Cody couldn't have had any better coverage. That's why that kid's a top 10 Heisman, guy that everybody's talking about right now. But we're really, really thankful for what Cody's done for our program. And then, obviously, during the game and the type of person he is off the field.
And just from him to Kesich, Daniel Jackson, and just Henderson, so many of them. Just think back for a second, recruiting these guys when they were in high school and what went into it, and now they're gone after the Badgers game. That just has an emotional side to it, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because, I've talked to you for a long time, 8 years. And when we talk, I said the head coach's job is to do two things. One, have your student athletes love the University of Minnesota. Have them have one of the greatest experiences of their life. And two is create all the things they say they want to do in their life. Help them create the dreams becoming reality portion we always talk about, and live their best life and accomplish the dreams that they want to have. And that's the job of the head football coach, in my opinion. And whether that's with football, without football, it's so fun to listen to these kids in recruiting and say that they wanted X, Y, and Z for our program, and then also for themselves, and then watching them get that now and then set themselves up for the future they're about to have. I couldn't be prouder of them, of what they've accomplished and what they're going to do in their life, and really what the asset they're going to be to our world and our country and their communities, and the teams are going to be on, whether it's sport related or other types of teams in the real world.
Amen with that. And, for the Axe at Madison Friday on KFAN, PJ is 2-1 against Wisconsin in Madison. Gophers won in 18 and 22, lost in overtime in 2020. And so that comes up Friday. And I apologize if this is a dumb question and I've missed it to close, PJ. But with Brosmer being here for a year, who do you expect your quarterback to be next season?
Well, I think it's been well documented that, Drake Lindsay is our, as a true freshman this year, has come in and done a really, really good job. And, he'll be a redshirt freshman next year. There'll always be competition as we continue to move forward and see what our quarterback room looks like as we finish up this season. But Drake's worked really hard. He's attached himself to Max this entire year and really squeezed all the juice from that orange of what to learn from Max, and then how to be able to take the things that he learned from and go apply them into next year's competition. And we look forward to that competition as we go forward.
Very thankful for your inclusion weekly 9 to noon. Thank you very much for the time, and have best of luck against Bucky, and have a great Thanksgiving. Okay, PJ?
Appreciate it, PA. Row the boat, Sky Mag, go Gophers, Skull Vikes, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks.
Yes, sir. PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team. Parker Fox, power forward for the Golden Gophers basketball team, is